just thinking about like, because I could see my parents in the stands and they were crying, and my dad never cries, so he was like just so proud. For me, it's just really cool to think back and realize like, I can share that moment with them.
Hello and welcome back to Rinkside Rundown, the podcast that brings you inside the world of women's hockey, one story at a time. I'm your host, Chris Sinclair, and today I am absolutely thrilled to be joined by Rebecca Johnston, a decorated Canadian Olympian and national team member and current player development coach with the Calgary Flames. Rebecca, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. I wanted to maybe, if we could, start back at the beginning. You grew up with 5 other siblings. I think it's 3 brothers and 2 sisters, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
What was that like, growing up in that environment?
Oh, well, it's like looking back at it now, it was like the best time. Like I love growing up in a large family and having siblings. There's always something to do. But it was definitely very hectic and a lot of fighting, and we're all competitive. So I think that really just with the environment and playing hockey, we all played hockey. It was just, it was very competitive. And so we definitely got in some fights and stuff like that throughout my childhood, but they are a huge part of where I am today and how I got to be able to play with the national team at the highest level. It's they pushed me and they were always there to support me. And I mean, there's so many stories, but my oldest sister was someone that I definitely look up to and wanted to be like. So I would work out with her, and she would always push me. She was like a second mom to me. So it was incredible to have a large family, and especially having all similar interests in playing sports.
What was it like for, thinking about the fact that all of you were involved in hockey? That is obviously not an easy thing, having ultimately 6 kids all involved in hockey. What was that like as well for your parents, and how valuable was it that they were able to give you their time as they did throughout your early years?
Yeah, you don't realize it when you're young, but looking back now, they really didn't have much of a life when we were growing up besides taking us to either like the rink, the court, the field, wherever we were going, because we all played a bunch of sports, not just hockey. So it was quite busy, and my parents really tried to kind of pair us together. So like I played on my older brother's hockey team for a while, and my 2 older sisters played on the same hockey team. So just minimize the amount of driving they had to do. They'd take both of us to the same rink, and we also had a lot of great support. We had a lot of good family friends that we played sports with that they would also help out. So I don't know how they managed it, but they did, and a huge shout out to them. They were very supportive for us, and we all wouldn't have been where we are now without them. So it's definitely a huge sacrifice for parents for sure.
Yeah, all that hard work and that sacrifice certainly seems to have paid off for sure,
Yeah.
considering the career and the career that you had on the ice as well, and now obviously off the ice. Um, when you think back to those early days in your journey, when did you maybe realize that hockey could be more than just a hobby for you?
Um, yeah, I feel like definitely when the 2002 Olympics, I watched the women and the men's team win gold at Salt Lake City, and that was kind of a turning point for me. I remember I was sitting beside my dad watching the women's final game, and when they won the gold medal and getting their like all the medals around their neck, and seeing Haley Wickenheiser, and she had Noah with her, and she was crying, and everyone was just so emotional. I think that was really inspiring for me, and I think that was when it shifted, and I realized I wanted to focus solely on hockey and try to make it to the highest level. So that was kind of the turning point for me, where I realized like hockey could be something um, that I'd want to. I didn't know if I was going to be able to make that. I really didn't think I'd be able to one day be at the Olympics, but it was definitely a goal of mine from the 2002 Olympics.
And I mean, I guess you sort of answered this just a moment ago in highlighting Wickenheiser, which is absolutely a prominent name within the sport, obviously. But
Yeah.
who are some of those other role models, or some of those maybe influences that you had, whether it's in the sport, maybe it's outside the sport, maybe it's somewhere else as well, that really inspired you and really helped you to kind of guide you through those ups and downs that are inevitable within the sporting world.
Um, I don't like so I growing up, I didn't really like watch a lot of women's
Mhm.
sports. Obviously, it wasn't as accessible as it is now, and so I didn't really have those female role models, especially in hockey. But like I mentioned before, my older sisters and were someone that I looked up to. I've always looked up to them. They've always pushed me, and they've kind of like guided that path for me. They went to college in the States, and that's what made me want to go to Cornell. And so there was a lot of things that they really helped guide me through, and um, they were both great athletes. And so for me, I just wanted to be like them, and those were just the role models that I had growing up. Just in Sudbury, Ontario, I didn't play with girls. I played with boys growing up, so there just wasn't that strong female role model. Available to me. So those were the people that I looked up to, Katie and Sarah, my older sisters, and they were a big part of where I am today and how I got to where I am today. So I wouldn't be here without them.
From your perspective, how valuable is it maybe now with the PWHL, with the growth of women's sports just in general? How valuable is it that now these young girls have players that look like them in the sport, playing the sport, and are able to now be also paid to play the sport?
Yeah, I think it's incredible. It's like a huge step. I really wish I had that when I was younger.
Mhm.
Uh, like my favorite hockey player was Stevie Eiserman, and that's fine. I feel like I still love watching the men's game, and obviously I'm involved in it. But to I think it just helps with your aspirations and girls wanting to go somewhere with hockey. I feel like when I was younger, there wasn't really much road besides, okay, I'm going to go hopefully play for the national team. But how many spots? That's only, 23 spots available for everyone in Canada. It's like it was very, I mean, it's a really tough goal to accomplish. And so now there's a lot of avenues where you can go. Like obviously college is a great goal to have, and it's a great spot to be able to play. You get an education and play a sport there. But being able to now look towards, oh, I want to play in the PWHL. Like there's a professional league where I can get paid, and I think it really helps with the growth of the women's game and keeping girls in the game. So it's all just so important, and I'm truly excited to see where this league continues to go, and it's really exciting just for me to be able to like watch female hockey on TV now, like seeing that all the time. Not just the Olympic years is it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. So
Yeah, well, and that's the other part of it too, right? Like, only having when the road was either you would typically go to college and then you would be either waiting for a spot on the national team. Yeah, but that's only every 4 years, right? Like, what are you doing in the other years outside? I mean, obviously there are a number of things that you are doing, but there
yeah,
aren't competitive games necessarily that you're able to play in. So now obviously with the PWHL, with a lot of these different opportunities, we're definitely seeing a lot more growth in that space, which is long overdue and definitely warranted, of course.
yeah,
Um,
and I feel like sometimes it's just like not the most realistic goal to be like, oh, like for every single girl, be like, I'm gonna make the national team. It's obviously a really hard and not very many spots available. So it is really cool to know that there is a spot where a lot of girls can now play outside of college
and
and
it's such a
after
high,
college.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's at such a high level as well, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk about now your as we kind of transition through your hockey journey, your time at Cornell. How
Yeah.
do you how did you balance the demands of the academics and elite athletics, and still see success and still be able to navigate that space?
Yeah, it was definitely challenging. I feel like the first year, I mean, I had never left home, so it was the first time I had left home and moved away, and I'm a freshman, and you're all excited, and I feel like it took me about a semester to kind of figure out that, okay, I need to prioritize my time. I need to actually go to class because for some reason I thought maybe I didn't need to go to class. Um, and just really maybe make sure like you kind of schedule out your day because obviously hockey and training, it's every day and it takes up quite a bit of time. And so, when do you have time to study and do your homework and stuff like that? So took an adjustment for me. But once you get into the routine of things and you kind of figure out like how to study the most efficient and just different ways to help with time management, that really helped for me. And it was actually quite challenging because I also had national team stuff as well.
Mhm.
So world championships my freshman year, I was gone for like a month and a bit. And so to miss that much school at the end of the year as well, was quite challenging and definitely took a lot of time, like having to study when you're at Worlds and do exams and stuff. So just I got used to it pretty quick, I feel like. And then the social life, it definitely takes a back burner, and you're not able to do as much as you probably would like. But again, playing at a high level of hockey, like there's sacrifices that you have to make. So unfortunately, like the social part was something I had to cut back on.
Well, and I feel like that's pretty normal. I feel like that's going to be the thing that takes the biggest hit,
Mhm.
especially early on in your collegiate careers. You're kind of figuring out like, oh, like you said, I have to actually study and I have to
Yeah.
actually go to class and things. And I asked that question kind of to tie in directly to this next one, which is that throughout your collegiate career, you were if I were to list off the accolades, the awards that you won, we would be here until tomorrow.
Yeah.
It is a laundry list. You had a very successful collegiate career. Um, and as much as I'd love to dive into each one of those awards and what each one of those meant to you, I wanted to more broadly talk about how those accolades, especially early on in your collegiate career, helped to shape your mindset, both collegiately as well as with the national program.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a team sport, and I think the individual accolades, okay, that's great, and it just shows that you've been successful throughout the year and you've put the work in. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't have any of those awards without my teammates and my coaches, and just the whole like culture and everything at Cornell. And so I'm really fortunate to have had Doug Darrow, like an amazing coach where I learned so much from him throughout my 4 years there and then actually onward with the national team. And then my teammates, like uh first year obviously was we had a little bit of challenge there. We were kind of building a good program, but by my, second, third, and fourth year, we were quite strong and we had a lot of talented players that I was able to play with and practice with every day, which also helped me improve as well. So again, and helped me obviously down the line with the national team as well, and just help develop me as like a full, well-rounded player. I think Doug Darrow was really great with the offensive piece for me as well, and he taught me a lot just about scoring and um, some of the individual skills as well as playing. Um, as a team and playing with your line mates. I feel like growing up, I would say I was more of an individual player, kind of go end to end, and I didn't really know how to use my teammates well and effectively. And he's definitely helped with me with that and being able to just utilize my teammates well and play more like a team game versus an individual game. So there's a lot of things that I've learned throughout my 4 years there at Cornell.
And when you think about that time in at Cornell, maybe what lessons more specifically around resilience? We're going to get to some tangible examples of your resilience in just a moment as well. But maybe what lessons about resilience and about leadership as well did you learn? During your time, again, with both Cornell as well as with the national program, that have really stuck with you even to today as you're now embarking on this new career with the Calgary Flames?
Yeah, I feel like I really learned a lot, especially about like leadership and being a good teammate and leading by example. And for me, I was always more of a like to myself when I'm playing, and I'm kind of focusing on what I can do, and because that's how I'm going to help the team. But then as I continued in my career, I realized the importance of being there for your teammates, like younger players that maybe are a little more intimidated or need that extra boost. Like it's important for these vet players to be there and help kind of motivate the team. And so I think I wish I knew and I had learned that when I was a little bit younger. But
Mhm.
again, like a young player, you're just kind of there and you're trying to figure it all out and just perform as best as you can, and that's kind of what I did. But I did learn a lot throughout my years at Cornell and then with the national team, just really learning to kind of be in the moment and help the team grow and not just kind of focus on, okay, what do I got to do, but how can I help this team succeed? And yeah, so I feel like throughout my years I definitely kind of got better and better at that as I continue to play and get more experience there.
And it really sounds as though they're what they like those two experiences, albeit they're obviously very vastly different for a number of reasons. There's a lot of crossover as well because in my at least again, obviously I haven't played on the national team, so I don't know this for sure. But from the outside anyway, the when you join the national team or when you're selected to play for the national team, there are also those younger players who are coming up who maybe they're in their first year. So being able to be humble
Mhm.
and be a leader for them and to bring them along on their journey, just as someone did for you when you first made the national program, and then those skills also translate back to your collegiate program. Is that from the outside, of course, again, is that fair to say? Is that kind of how that could you could kind of view that some of this, at least some of those lessons that you were able to learn about leadership specifically?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I just remember how I felt like the first couple years playing with the national team and making the team, and you're playing against all these, or you're playing with all these players that you've looked up to and watched
Mhm.
on TV, and like Haley Wickenheiser, Karen Ouellette. So these players are like you come in and it's quite an intimidating atmosphere, and so there were definitely some players that helped me, like Carolyn Ouellette was and Jillian Apps were like two players that stick out in my mind right now just with how like supportive they were and like encouraging and really just helped me get that confidence that I needed, because I definitely lacked that the first couple years, I'd say, or few years playing with the national team. So um I later on in my career kind of realized that if this is important. This will help the team, and you always want to help the young players feel welcome and come into an environment where they can succeed, right, and excel. And the only way they can do that is if they feel confident and comfortable and valued, right? So I think that's really important. I definitely learned that a l- later on in my career, really taking more of a focus on, okay, like let's help this team win any way we can
Mhm.
and not just my performance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. At that point, it's. I mean, there's they're short tournaments, right? It can't be
Yeah.
just about individual performances. You all
Yeah.
have to gel together to be a success, right? Um, well, we've talked about the national program. Kind of, we've walked up to the edge. So let's actually get more specific about the national program here. Um, First of all, I can only imagine what it would be like to put on that jersey for the first time and to skate for that team. Bring us into that moment. For you, what was that like when you first put on that jersey and you're now skating alongside, as you mentioned, some of those players that you looked up to for all those years as well?
Yeah, it's honestly like hard to put into words. It was like I like I mean, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. It's just when you put that jersey on, it was like oh my God, like I finally did it. Like I'm here. Um and I definitely thought that, especially when I had made the Olympics for the first time and played like my first game at the Olympics. It just didn't feel real. It was so surreal. And um so I think for me, like it's been a goal ever since I was a little girl, right? To play with one day for the national team and hopefully win a medal for my country. And so to realize that you finally achieved that, it was like Yeah, it was just a dream, I'd say. Like it was just such a cool feeling, and obviously a lot of nerves as well, like because there's responsibility that comes with that.
How did you navigate those nerves? How did you, because I think that might be something that, while the experiences are going to be different, even for someone who isn't an athlete, going into those like like high pressure moments in life, um, that can be daunting. And you had to do so while also, it was a live broadcast game, right? Like these games were viewed by millions of people around the world. That's,
Yeah.
no pressure at all, right? How did you navigate those pressures, especially early on, and not let the moment maybe become too big for you?
Yeah, I think I got better, obviously better and better at it
Mhm.
as the more I was put in those situations. But I do think like you kind of, for me, I tried, my mentality was trying to take it as any other game. And I put so much time, effort, sacrifice all into like making this team and being the best hockey player I could be. And so I try to have that confidence going into games, knowing like I know what I'm doing, like I have the skill to play at this level. And so just giving myself that little confidence boost. Um, so that there wasn't those nerves and of like, oh, like what if I mess up or whatever. It's more of like having that confidence that no, I'm gonna help this team succeed. I'm gonna help this team win. Um, and yeah, I think the nerves part was like I'm always nervous before the game, and then you kind of get in warm up, and I always would take a moment just to look around and soak it all in and get the nerves out there and just realize, okay, this is where I am. Like so cool. We're in the Olympic finals and kind of take the time and warm up and then get that out of my system so then the time of the game comes, it's just focusing really the here and now and the next shift basically and just taking it step by step instead of the bigger picture.
Oh, spoken like a true athlete, because all I can think of in that moment would be a severe fear and
Yeah.
just overwhelming emotions and nerves. And I don't know that I would be able to take one stride on my skates, let alone play a game at an elite level. So,
It's
um,
more the nerves I'd say would be before. Like the nerves are kind of happen before the game, and then once you're in the game, it's you're just so focused and the adrenaline's going, and you almost forget about it.
just like your time at Cornell, obviously you had an incredible career with the national program, multiple Olympic medals, multiple championships. If you could take us back to those medal moments and share what made them maybe each feel different, or maybe what
Mhm.
made them memorable for you specifically, maybe some examples of some of those memories that you have from those wins as a team, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think every Olympics, like you said, it's different in its own way. But like at the end of the day, it's still like that feeling never gets old winning that gold medal and getting around your neck, no matter what the experience was or if one Olympics was more enjoyable than the other. Like I feel like at the end of the day, um, I never got used to that feeling. It was always just like it was my first medal
Mhm.
winning it, like the 2022 Olympics. It still felt like so special to me, um, even though that was my fourth one. So 2010 was so special because it was obviously my first Olympics. It was in Canada, and I had all my family there supporting me, which was pretty cool. And I was just young and didn't really think I was going to make the team, to be honest. But then had a great centralization year and was able to crack the roster. And then for me, like getting that medal around my neck for the first time, like nothing could beat that. I think it was like the coolest experience obviously I've ever experienced. So, um, like I said before, like I get goosebumps thinking about that stuff, and I almost like get emotional still, like just thinking about like because I could see my parents in the stands and they were crying, and my dad never cries, so he was like just so proud. And then like it's just your parents are a huge part of your life, and like helping you get to where you are and like driving you to the rink, like we were talking about earlier. And so for me, it's just really cool to think back and realize like, I can share that moment with them. And yeah, and then that's why Vancouver is so special. I mean, there was 20,000 people in the stands all wearing red and white in the final game. Like it was the coolest thing, and you couldn't hear anything on the ice. Like I couldn't hear my line mates calling for the puck or anything. It was so loud the whole time. So the atmosphere was incredible. Um, and then 2014 was really, really special just because of just the adversity and stuff that we went through throughout the year. Getting a new coach only a month before the Olympics, and kind of navigating how we go about this new coach. And we kept losing to the States in our 7-game series. So there's just a lot going on that wasn't super positive. So for us to kind of had that mentality of going into Olympics still confident, and knowing that we could win, it was just a really cool team to be a part of. We were all really close, and we dealt with everything together, and we overcame a lot of adversity that year. And then obviously the way we won, just down 2 goals with 3 minutes left and tying it up and then winning in overtime. It was just a crazy, crazy game. Like it's a game that you would have. It would be like a documentary, like a movie,
Yeah.
where it'd just be like such a crazy ending to this game. And I'm sure a lot of Canadians had turned the TV off, like with 5 minutes left, thinking that it was done and we lost. And so just the adversity of coming back and having the confidence, knowing that we could still do it. So that was pretty cool. And that's why I think that medal was really, really special to me. It's just the way we won it.
Mhm.
And then 2018 obviously didn't win a gold, but I definitely think I learned a lot from that experience. And um, I like to say, like, you definitely learn a lot more from losses and failure than you
Mhm.
do from success. So winning every Olympics, like you're not really going to learn a lot from that. And I think that just made us stronger for 2022, and just kind of the 4 years leading up, just having that little bit extra edge and motivation to win that gold medal back and be on top of the world again, um, was something that motivated all of us throughout those 4 years. And yeah, so it was definitely one of the hardest moments losing that game, especially in a shootout. No one wants to lose like that. But we definitely learned a lot as a group. And then 2022, again, a very hard year with just COVID and everything. And so being able to take that gold medal back was really special as well. And yeah, so just a lot of great memories, and every Olympics was definitely different in its own way.
Well, I don't mean to shift gears to maybe a difficult topic here, but
That's okay.
you kind of had, not to rain on the parade, but you had talked about those difficult moments and the challenges. And we obviously, throughout this conversation, we've talked about highs and lows, and that's normal throughout a playing career. But you had, I would say, a pretty big low back when you ruptured your Achilles in
Hmm.
2020. Um, could you maybe take us through that comeback, and maybe what was the toughest part for you, and what that experience of having to come back from such a difficult injury, and what that taught you, and about yourself, and the way that you play the game?
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, the adversity that you go through, I really truly feel like every athlete needs to go through some sort of adversity to get stronger and to really grow as like as a person and an athlete. And for me, I truly um grew and really learned a lot about myself and how to deal with adversity. And I never had dealt with anything that serious before. And kind of later on in my career, it was later on in my career, and so didn't know the unknown is and uncertainty is no athlete or person deals with that well, right? So for me, I didn't know if I was going to be back playing or be able to come back from this. Like it's a pretty serious surgery, and recovery was very, very like you had to be really dialed in with your recovery and the rehab and just being so diligent with that. And so for me, I did struggle a bit at first, and especially you're sitting. It was kind of a convenient time actually because it was COVID and I didn't really miss many games, to be honest. Like we weren't playing at that moment.
Well, look
So
at
I
you
did.
finding a silver lining in all this. So that's good. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly. Yeah, it was if a time to rupture my Achilles, it would have been then. So like that was a good time. I missed I think one camp in January and that's it. Um, so it was like 6 months though of like, 2 months I was in a boot and I couldn't put any pressure on it. And then it was just slowly learning to walk again, basically, and build that calf muscle and all your muscles surrounding it up. So I worked out like a lot, just every other part of my body, just trying to stay as fit as I could. So I'd be ready to go when I was able to start rehabbing my leg. And um, I would say the one thing that I really focused on was just, I'm going to like give 110% to this rehab and do everything I can so that I can get back as soon as I can. That was kind of my mentality. I feel like for me, I'm a pretty like, when I put my mind to something, I'm pretty competitive and determined. And so for me, I really wanted to get back as soon as I could. So that kind of motivated me. And like every little win and improvement, I was, able to do a calf raise or whatever the little success was. I really celebrated those and really tried to just appreciate where I'm at now. And yeah, the mental side was definitely a huge thing. And it was really good to talk to someone and also write things down and just um, really focus on the mental piece when I was during rehab because that is important, and I think all athletes should really focus on that side of things. And I really didn't at the beginning of my career. I didn't think I needed that or whatever, but I truly think it's important to really focus on the mental state and this mental side of the game, and because it's huge, it's a big part of the game as well.
Well, yeah, and as an athlete, you're always obviously thinking about how to, get stronger physically, how you can get better physically, but you don't recognize until you're put in that often until you're put in that position where you're forced to how
Yeah.
important the mental side is. Because if you're strong mentally, then you can also be strong physically, and you can also have an even, likely an even better career at that point.
Yeah.
When we look at your pro career, Clarkson Cups, the Calgary Inferno as well. From your perspective, what opportunities and maybe what challenges stand out for women's professional hockey, and what do you hope for this next chapter, or what this next chapter might look like as well for the sport?
Yeah, I think just like the longevity of the league and creating a sustainable league that will grow and continue to succeed and um, develop. And I think it takes time. And unfortunately wasn't able to play in the league just with timing and everything. But um, it was great to be a part of the beginning stages of trying to really develop this league, and because it's remarkable now where how far it's come. And I just want to continue to see the women's game grow. Want more girls to sign up and play hockey and continue to play hockey. And um, that's like the main thing. And just being able to continue to hopefully get the league and women paid more and being able, because I think it's really important that they can solely focus on hockey and that could be like a career. Because grew up in an era where, playing for the Calgary Inferno, like if you weren't on the national team, you had a full-time job and you were, coming straight to the rink for practice at night after working all day. And it's really hard to be the best player you can be when you have a full-time job and focusing on that as well. Like, so I think it's incredible to see, and the talent will just keep getting better, right? If you have all these athletes that are dedicated to, training and preparing and being able to solely focus on hockey. So, just wanted to keep seeing it grow and develop.
When like I said, you're off the top, you're now with the Calgary Flames. You've been there with the team since 2022. What's the Let's just start off with an easy question here. What's the part of the role that you've enjoyed the most, or maybe surprised you the most in this transition?
I think I enjoy the most is just like dealing with the young players and kind of being on the ice with them and help develop them as best I can. And it's really a cool feeling to see. like you working with these players and then they go off and play in the NHL and are sticking around and succeeding at the highest level for them. And um I think it's been a really cool experience seeing those players because there has been quite a few actually that have come up and are now playing with the Flames. And that's the ultimate goal, right? Is for us to help develop them to one day be able to play in the NHL. So I think that's the coolest thing is being a part of it in just a different way. Obviously, for me now it's on the other side of things
Right.
of I'm not playing. I'm now trying to help and teach and just give them advice of things that I might have learned throughout my career and wish I knew sooner and learned a little bit later in my career.
And how cool is it now too, as well, that you've returned to Calgary, which is a place that you obviously played hockey as well. How cool is it that it kind of like maybe a full circle moment a little bit? Is that kind of how that feels?
Yeah, I feel like Calgary's like home for me now. I've been here for a long time, and
Mhm.
I would say I'm a Flames fan now. Kind of have to be, right?
Yeah, good
So,
answer. Yep, of course.
but no, I truly, yeah, I love the city, and I feel like it's my home now, and so to be able to be a part of the Flames as well is really special.
You shared during your career, you shared a favorite quote of yours, and that was that life is 10% what you make it, and 90% how you take it. How has that sort of, we'll call it a maybe a motto.
Yeah.
How has that guided through you through your challenges and transitions, whether that's with, going from junior to collegiate and balancing the national program, pro career, injuries, whatever that may have taken you. How has that guided you through your hockey journey?
Yeah, I think it's really important and something that I, again, kind of started learning as I've gotten older and played more. But it really truly helps just try to see the positives and everything um, and take any sort of experience and try to learn from it. And I think if you're really looking at a situation and it's always negative or um, you don't feel like it's fair or whatever, whether it be injuries or getting cut, then I mean, at the end of the day, like you're not going to be your best self. Like you need to really focus on the positives because that's going to help you succeed in the long run. You're going to be more confident. You're going to work harder. You're going to be more motivated. And so for me, like in any adversity, especially, I've tried to do it. It's easier said than done, but trying to see the underlying reasons of why this might have happened or I could say with my Achilles, like, every athlete goes through injuries, right? It's inevitable at some point, and I knew that I had a lot of years left, and so I didn't really cherish every moment. I feel like as well as I could have, and so I think the last few years of my career was really a turning point after that injury that like I might not have many years left. I might not be able to even come back. So like if I do, like just be so grateful for everything that I've been able to accomplish, and then all my successes that I'll be able to, um, if I make the national team again, if I go to the Olympics one more time, like to really be in the moment and to learn and to just have fun. Like I think it's hard to sometimes you get stuck in um, just being so competitive and wanting to
Yeah.
succeed that you forget the reason why you started playing hockey in the first place. So um, I learned a lot from those injuries. So again, just really um, embracing it and realizing like there are other things in life too that are important, and it's not the end of the world if something happens. But what are you going to do to try to fix that and make change and make it better?
Okay, before we move to the final segment of today's show, I want to ask, how often do you find yourself maybe leaning on your prior experiences throughout your career in your new career? And how often do you find yourself maybe teaching or sharing those lessons that you've learned throughout your career, the highs and the lows, with the next generation of men's hockey players?
Yeah, I think a lot, to be quite honest. Like I obviously there's the on ice piece where I've learned a lot throughout my career of like I was someone that watched a lot of video and tried to analyze and improve. each and every practice game. I was very motivated that way. And so I feel like it translated pretty well to on ice stuff with the men. So being able to like teach some things that I've kind of learned and just help them continue to grow and develop. But off ice piece is also like a huge thing, and it comes full circle. I feel like there's one of our players, he actually hurt his ankle, like quite similar to the rehab of my Achilles rehab. So I felt like there was a lot of things that I could share that helped me throughout the process. And so that was, um, I just felt like I felt like I could help this person, and I felt really valued. Um, and then he was able to come back and succeed and played really well. So that was like a huge moment for me, just realizing like there are a lot of experiences that I've learned and grown from, and I can definitely share with these players. And um, so that was just one example, but there's a lot of things that I've learned that these young guys, if they can learn at a younger age, like they'll just you'll be dominant. And so yeah, I feel really like blessed to be able to still be involved with hockey and help share some of the things that I've learned throughout my career.
Absolutely. Okay, so we now, as is tradition, we wrap up every episode with a rapid fire segment. We've now called the final buzzer. And so you can take as long, it's rapid fire only because I'm going to try not to ask any follow-up questions.
Okay.
It's really just testing me. It's not testing you at all.
Okay.
So if you have a fun story or anything like that that you want to share through any one of these questions, feel free. I will just try not to ask a single follow-up question. I'm yet to pass this test, so
Okay.
bear with me. First one for you. How do you stay inspired away from the ice?
I always have a routine. I like to have the routine just from like playing hockey and stuff. So
Yes.
I I'm obviously in a different stage of life. I have a 5-month-old now, and so I'm just inspired every day by her and just by me, just trying to push myself. I'm still work out a lot. I still like to have that routine of taking care of my child, working out. And so yeah, I just every day she inspires me to be better, to be a better mom, to be a better role model for her. And so I think that's kind of my inspiration now, I would say.
Good answer. That was a good answer. We're off to a good start. What is considering, as you mentioned earlier, Calgary is feels like home to you. What is a spot in Calgary that you'd recommend to a visitor?
Like food or something, or like
Wherever you want to go. Yeah, food, maybe a
uh,
nice I don't know, like a zoo or something. Whatever,
yeah.
wherever you where however you
Well,
want.
okay, there's 2, so obviously I'm like, I love to be outside, and I mean, the mountains isn't really in Calgary, but the mountains is like a great place. I love going there and hiking and stuff. So that, or um like Major Tom's restaurant is really good. It's like all the way, like it's an amazing view. And so I guess this is a couple. And then Edworthy Park, just like by the river, I think is really beautiful. So
Good. Okay, great choices. I will look into those and I'll report back to you.
okay.
Throughout your career, who was a teammate who always made you laugh?
Oh my God. I There's so many. But
First one
one
that
that
comes to mind.
stuck, Jillian Apps, I'd say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's
Um,
pretty funny.
you have to tell us why. What were some of those? I like I said, I knew I was going to fail this test, so
Yeah.
I'll ask the follow-up question early on.
She just always found a way, like her story, I would say like her stories, like she always had these crazy elaborate stories, like that's something that happened to her. And I'm pretty sure they all were made up, but they're supposedly all true. So, um, yeah, her stories and her storytelling, and she's pretty funny. She's one of the funnier people I've met.
What is your or what has been your favorite hockey experience since moving into coaching?
Favorite hockey experience. I kind of talked about it, but I honestly would say just like dealing with the guys and being on the ice with them, and just being on the ice with such talented hockey players. I would say.
Okay. What is one thing that still remains on your bucket list?
Um, I think like travel is a big thing. So I've always wanted to go to Greece, So maybe there or Australia.
Okay, good choices. If you could go back and give one piece of advice to your younger self at the start of your career, what do you think that would be?
Um, kind of touch on it, but I would say like be in the moment and enjoy every moment, and have fun. For me, like again, like I said, you can get pretty caught up in the competitive professional side of things and putting pressure on yourself. But at the end of the day, like you fell in love with the game for a reason. So really just trying to remember back to the moment when you fell in love with the game and really what inspired you. Like for me, it was at in the outdoor rink playing with all my older siblings. It's snowing, it's -30 out, and I just absolutely loved it. And those were my favorite moments, just playing on the outdoor rink with my siblings. So that's something that I always try to go back to.
Well, I think that is a perfect note to end our conversation on today. And I just wanted to say, Rebecca, thank you so much for joining the show and sharing your story from your roots in Sudbury to your years shaping teams and representing Canada internationally. And now this exciting new chapter with the Calgary Flames. Thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure having the chance to talk with you today.
Thanks so much for having me.
And if you enjoyed this episode as much as we both did, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow hockey fans. Your support helps us to continue bringing you inspiring stories just like this one from around the world of women's hockey. I'm Chris Sinclair. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time on Rinkside Rundown.